Do you remember back when that crazy Trevor Milton, the CEO of Nikola, claimed that it would be making an electric pickup truck with General Motors, which would be mostly produced by Nikola? Well, yeah. Do you remember that time when he also towed his electric semi to the top of a hill and rolled it down to try and pretend that it actually drove? Well, that guy's in court now, and his lies are being exposed yet again. To be honest, it'd all be kind of funny if it wasn't so incredibly sad that General Motors actually decided to partner with his company. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Welcome back, everyone else. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for supporting the channel. And also thank you to our Patreon members who support the channel financially. If you want to do so as well, I'll put a link in the description below. And let's move on to probably the most humorous but kind of sad at the same time story of the past week in electric vehicle news. Now, Trevor Milton, obviously massive fraudster. I don't know how these guys get away with this stuff. The crazy thing was he was making the most insane comments. People were jumping on YouTubers themselves were making videos completely refuting his statements, right? There was videos all over YouTube. I mean, obviously Steve and Mark Ryan, Saving the Money Problem. There's always guys like him as well who made several videos exposing his fraud. And after all this, right, these videos have been seen millions of times. There was people saying in the comments below, no, they're the real deal. No, General Motors has just signed an agreement with them, so they must be legit. GM tried to make them legit when they were clearly fraudsters. That is the insane part about this entire story. We were warning GM. People were warning GM that it was a joke, that this company was not legit, and they did not listen. In September of 2020, Forbes assessed Milton's net worth to be at least $3.1 billion as a result of his lies, about 25% of Nikola, which was valued at $12.4 billion at the time. Nikola's shares hit a high of $67.50 on the 1st of June 2020. And then the losses began. The bleeding began, and people lost hundreds of millions of dollars. And frankly, I have zero sympathy for them. I'm sorry, but a simple YouTube search, simply spending a couple of hours watching a few videos made by concerned citizens, would have alerted them to the absolute bloodbath that was shortly to follow. Nikola's stock price crashed, and as of today, it's sitting at $3.90, 5% of its value on the 1st of June 2020. Today, Bloomberg reported that Nikola Corporation's Trevor Milton was hyper-focused on the company's stock price, and that when shares fell $5 on their first day of trading in June 2020, he thought something was wrong with the NASDAQ. Now, at that time, Nikola was completing a reverse merger and would end the day with a market value of $12 billion. Chief Financial Officer Kim Brady testified in New York on Friday that he explained to Milton the decline was simply supply and demand. But Milton insisted Brady contact the exchange. Did you do that? Assistant U.S. Attorney Matthew Podolsky asked. No, I did not, said Brady. Prosecutors say that Milton made false statements to investors about the company's progress toward manufacturing hydrogen fuel cells and electric vehicles and marketing vehicles in order to artificially inflate Nikola's value and his own wealth. Now, the thing is that during this period of time, while Trevor Milton was engaging in very obvious, blatant fraud, the SEC was far more interested in somebody's tweets. In fact, the SEC was in court trying to sue Elon Musk for tweets which were clearly nowhere near as significant or influential in losses of hundreds of millions of dollars to investors who were completely duped. Prosecutors say that Milton fooled investors by making inoperable products look functional, and he lied about the company's technology and partnerships. The defense argues that Milton was just following the company's marketing plan and never said anything he didn't believe to be true. And obviously he believed that the truck that they towed to the top of a hill, rolled it down the hill and took a video of it to pretend that it worked. Obviously the company clearly just, hoodwinked him, took him for a ride, even though he was the CEO. Now, Brady told jurors that it was a constant battle to get Milton, the company's biggest shareholder, to focus on actually building long-term value rather than obsessing over retail investors and stock price fluctuations. All he cared about was the stock price and how that affected his net worth. And he was willing to say and do anything to make that go up. On its third day of trading, Nikola's shares doubled and jumped over $90 a few days later before allegations of exaggerated claims began to erode the shares. And I saw many people commenting on YouTube that you should invest now, get in, while the price was still at around $40 US. Absolutely mania ensued, and the price began to collapse. As Nikola's stock declined, Milton would feel pressure to pump the stock price by hyping the company on social media or in interviews. And that, to be honest, the mainstream media played a huge part in this enormous Ponzi scheme by simply interviewing him and giving him credit in the mass media. In fact, comparing him on hundreds of occasions as a direct, realistic rival to Tesla, even though the company had produced nothing and had nothing to show. Now, executives at Nikola said they frequently told Milton that public statements by him and other top company executives had to be accurate. In other words, stop lying. We should not focus on short-term stock price movements, which do not represent the true value of the company, said Brady, recounting his advice to Milton. We have to be careful what is actually tweeted, what's on social media, because you will influence retail investors and their decisions to buy the stock. Mr. Milton regularly ignored my advice, he said. Brady then said that Milton one day showed him a list of the wealthiest people in America, on which Milton himself was ranked number 270 at the time. He told me one of his goals was to be in the top 100, Brady said. How to get there? The share price would have to be higher. Soon after, in spite of all the warning bells and the red flags, the company signed a deal with General Motors. But that deal unraveled after a September 2020 short sellers report called the Hindenburg Report accused Milton and Nikola of massive fraud and deception. The Badger electric pickup truck that Nikola said it had designed and was working on was never produced, and in fact, they'd never been even working on it. It was simply a graphic design sketch by an artist. That was exposed on YouTube numerous times. People didn't listen. GM didn't listen. What were the particulars of the deal? Well, Nikola and General Motors announced a $2 billion deal that gave GM an 11% stake in Nikola. The deal involved GM supplying batteries and fuel cell technologies, as well as producing the Nikola Badger pickup truck. Milton stated during an interview then that the Badger would mostly feature parts from Nikola. He said it's probably 70% Nikola, 30% GM when it comes to the parts that are really important to us, Milton said. This, according to General Motors, was false. While Nikola did own the Badger's creative design, all the parts of the vehicle were set to come from General Motors, according to General Motors engineers. Now, GM's engineers should have surely realized something was up when they agreed to this decision to manufacture this truck 100%, when Nikola was publicly saying 70% of it would come from themselves. GM said there were no components coming from Nikola. They owned the creative design, what the vehicle looked like, but all the parts were to come from General Motors. Now, this design sketch had so much interest and momentum that the company started taking $5,000 down payments for the vehicle, which was purely a concept, nothing more. It was also heavily promoted online, with Nikola getting the support of notable auto influencers such as the Diesel brothers to market the pickup truck. The Badger was supposed to be unveiled later in the year, but the event was cancelled, and of course, the rest is history, along with the truck itself. Ultimately, the Badger was cancelled as GM scaled back its commitments and eventually dropped its plans for a stake in the company. Now, the funny thing is that somehow Ford comes into play here. Had the Badger actually been unveiled, former Nikola employee Brendan Barbiards told the jury that the company did have a plan to make the vehicle. Kind of. It came in the form of a vehicle partly made with components from a Ford F-150 Raptor and chopped up electric Nikola power sports vehicle. But of course, Ford never had any part in that and never agreed to any of that idea. It was simply an idea thrown up in the fanciful mind of the most crazed stock booster in the last 10 years of American stock market excitement. You know the craziest thing about all of this? There are still people invested in Nikola. There are still people saying that they are a legitimate rival for Tesla. You can't make this stuff up. It's truly incredible. And as they say, only in America. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. And have a great day. Bye-bye.